everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to Yarn Yak. Happy Tuesday in February.
Yay.
Or second Monday, as some have referred to it today.
Oh, gee, I wonder who did that.
You weren't the only one. How you guys doing? Good. So we are here tonight to do our show Yarn Yak, which is a show about fiber crafts. And we come to you from our local yarn shop, The Stash in Belden, Wisconsin. I'm Kimmer.
I'm Carla.
And we are tonight yakking about Freeform fiber crafts. What is Freeform fiber crafts, you asked? I will tell you at least a couple things, examples. But first, what are we working on?
Oh, just stuff for the YPC. Yeah, I have a couple of wraps going, and I thought I'd try my hand at a headband.
You guys are doing amazing. Everyone is doing so amazing, you guys. I am so proud and pleased with all of you. I'm just want to say that.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about the Stash's annual charity drive that we do every year. You can find out more information about that and other things about the Stash, as well as the products that we have and the yarns that we sell on our website at www.shopthestashbusters.com. You can dip on there and see all our yarns and all our funsies, tools and everything. And you can also go to the Yarn Yak page to see pictures and links from our show tonight. Tonight there are many links on there to kind of point you in the right direction if you are interested in the subject of the show tonight, which is Freeform fiber crafts. And there's also a whole entire page for the YPC that tells you how you can become a maker, or how you can sponsor an individual maker, or sponsor the YPC as a whole with a monetary donation. So there's lots of information about that on there.
Check it out.
Yeah, check it out. I also have been working on many, I feel like I need octopus arms this week, but I've been working on a few things. I zipped out a quick headband pattern for Team 1 for the YPC. I tried my hand at circular weaving, which we'll see in a minute. I am in the middle of a wrap, which some of you may have seen a live that I did when I started it last weekend. I'm in about the middle of that. I had to set that aside and get some worky work done. But I'm still working on that. I also finished a Team 1 for the YPC, a Team 1 self-care bag, and I just finished the headband for the second one I'm in the middle of right now. So there's a lot going on. The fingers are flying. It's wintertime, and I'm just yarning my little hiney off. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. I also wrote a pattern for another wrap, which I did post on the Yarn Yak page. That one's cool because it is cool. It's comfy and pretty, but it only uses one of those big 400-gram balls of Hayfield Bonus with wool is what I used in tweed. But it only uses one of those big 400-gram balls. So it's kind of a good, get her done for a wrap.
Beautiful.
And it's pretty, and it's comfy and pretty on everybody. Everyone that's tried it on is done like, oh, this is nice. So it's a very, very beginner friendly pattern. The instructions aren't really straightforward. So yeah, that's what I've been working on this week. I know a lot of you are also working on YPC projects as well as your own personal projects, and I know everybody's fingers are really busy, even maybe right this very minute while you're listening to Yarn Yak, because I know you're not watching. That's okay. I wouldn't be either. I'd be yarning and nodding my head. Yep.
Right? Yep,
no, Kimmer, I'm not watching, but I'm listening to you.
You can listen just fine.
You can listen just fine. So tonight we're going to yak at you guys about Freeform fiber crafts. Now, it took me a minute to find out what is the actual appropriate name for what I was talking about. When we kind of started sussing out this episode, I was like, the things where you do where you don't really follow a pattern, or where you don't do this, but it turns out there's an umbrella title for it, and it's called Freeform fiber crafts. Some of you may have remembered a week or two ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I'm losing track of time, I shared a picture on the Stash's page it was like a coloring page of a lion, and I shared the picture of someone had crocheted all the pieces to fit in the shapes of the coloring page and then stitched it together to make this lion. And that is almost essentially exactly what Freeform is, an example of what Freeform fiber crafts, one of the types, is. And that type is got a really cool name. So without further ado, let's get started, huh?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's start here. Freeform fiber crafts. Say that 3 times fast. Go.
Freeform Fiber Crafts, Freeform Fiber Crafts. I'm not going to be able to do
That
this.
wasn't 3 times, 4 fast.
Fiber
Freeform fiber
Crafts.
crafts. Freeform fiber crafts. I lose it on the third one every time.
I was afraid I'd say something
And that's the other thing. I know I tried it earlier and I did, so I was kind of curious if you would too.
Right? Yeah.
I'm so mean.
Yes.
Anyway, freeform fiber crafts refers to things like freeform crochet or knit. It's pure creativity that rules this craft. The thing about it that makes it so different is generally you work with a pattern or at least a pattern idea, and that gives you exact schematics to arrive at a predetermined result. It's going to look like this. It's going to fit like this. The closer and more tightly you follow the pattern, the more exact your predetermined result will be. Freeform is the exact opposite. And by the way, this particular form, the freeform crochet or knit is referred to, the name of it is scrumbling. SCRUMBLING. And isn't that an awesome name? I'm like, I want to be a scrumbler. I did it. I want a sticker that says I'm a scrumbler, even though I'm not yet, but I will be. Give me a second.
So coincidentally, on one of Facebook, on one of the crochet sites, whatever, I found out that there is a person who does this, the freeform fiber crafts, and his name is Eric Speer, Speer. And interestingly enough, he went to school, graduated with a marine biology major. And he did yarn crafts on the side as a hobby.
Because why? Yarn is good for you.
Right. But that calling became really, really strong. And he does these amazing wall hangings that resemble
like big wall
coral.
tapestries.
Yeah, they resemble coral reefs, and evidently his love of marine biology flows through with this. So coral reefs and ones that resemble things that he's seen, the way the sea floor is and whatnot. If you get a chance,
so incredible.
Yeah, if you get a chance, Google him. He's got some amazing work out there. Just amazing.
He is just one of many, many artists, but his work is it's really quite inspiring, and it will give you a general idea of using fiber and your tools to make images or shapes, not just flat things or pieces.
Right.
It'll really help you open up your head a little bit to how one would go about doing that. It's interesting and gorgeous.
And you can see there's no rules. The only thing that you're governed by is your imagination.
Yeah. Which I'll say a little bit more about that when we get to the next thing. But even people who are very, very creative can have trouble starting off with something like this, because it kind of blows your brain a little bit. It's wide open.
Yeah.
Like there is no this is how you do this. Yep. Not really. Yep. Anyway, scrumbling or freeform crochet or knit is where you use a variety of stitches and textures and colors in an array of shapes and pieces to make a collage or a picture, a wall hanging, a tapestry, an item, even like a bag or a bag cover, or even garments like shawls. Often you're working in a multi-directional way, so you may make a piece that goes like this. Then you may make a round piece, and then you may make a set of squares that you stitch around the round piece. Who knows? But multi-directional, meaning that some of the stitches might go like this, some might go this way, some might go this way. And you don't use a pattern. There's no pattern. Your imagination is what creates the pieces. And then you put the pieces together in that same way by laying them and arranging them in ways that appeal to you for whatever you're trying to make. So it's a really, really, really interesting and open formatted way to play with fiber. And it's an excellent thing to do with your yarn scraps. Excellent thing, because you can just, who knows what you'll make? Who knows? So, however, can you imagine? Did your brain just go with the possibilities? It's a little overwhelming. So how do you do it? How do you start? You start really simple. It's better not to try to create a huge detailed piece of perfect art right out of the gate. It's much better and easier to go easy on yourself when you first start, when you first try it. Give yourself something really simple, like draw a circle or another simple shape and on a piece of paper, and then fill it in with other circles or shapes of freeform little pieces that you made, and then stitch those together. Try something simple like that. I will tell you that round is harder than straight edges to fill in. So think about that when you start doing it. Or you can try the idea that I posted, maybe on a slightly smaller scale, but I'll take a coloring page. And a lot of us have, you know, that like to do that coloring, have like these crazy detailed coloring pictures with tiny, tiny little holes to fill in. When I say take a coloring page, I mean, if you want to use one of those, go ahead, but take a red pen and draw out some of the bigger shapes, kind of line them out and try filling those shapes. Don't try doing, you know, micro tiny work right off the bat, because that's just frustrating and nuts. Anyway, you can use a coloring page and fill in the shapes on the coloring page with different colors and textures to make a larger image. Like, think of it like shading almost.
Yeah.
Or block color, like paint by numbers, things like that.
Or remember coloring as a child, the big pictures with the big the big open areas. So it's a bunny, but it's, you know, it's all the big blocky lines, and you're filling this and this,
exactly,
you know, big chunks of it
at a time.
Yeah, and that actually might be an option. It's just one of those, you know, a child's first color book, and then do that.
Absolutely. So that's an idea, a way to try it. Another thing you can do is try making a small, like a 6x6 or an 8x8 square wall hanging, just using freeform. So literally take a piece of paper and draw a square on it, and then fill that square with freeform pieces. And then when you're finished, go ahead and stitch over something like an old wooden knitting needle or something like, or a dowel or something, and just hang it up on the wall. You know, try something simple first so you don't get too overwhelmed. And I will tell you, I'm getting to that. Another fun, easy starter project would be to take like just a simple cotton muslin tote bag, like book bag size tote bag like that, and try to freeform just the front of it. Just make a bunch of pieces and get them to fit on the front of it and stitch it on. That'd be cool. And it'd be something you could keep forever, you know, that you even if you're not into it, if you just try it once and you're like, wow, that was not for me, but look what I made, you know. You don't have to be perfect at there is no perfect at this. No. That's the thing. There is no perfect, because there's no rules. There's therefore no standard to live up to when you're doing this. You just do whatever you feel like doing with whatever you feel like doing it with. So that kind of a release from structure and rules is really good for all of us to have upon occasion.
And legal.
Totally legal.
Sorry.
So this type of contained project where you slim it down a little bit and you slim down the possibilities a little bit, and that makes freeform or scrumbling less intimidating right out of the gate. If you take to it as you learn and work with pieces and you work with different textures and stitches and things like that, then you're going to start going, oh, you know what I want to make? And that's totally fine. I just wouldn't recommend going, you know, I think I'll make a tapestry for above my bed. My king size bed. I wouldn't start there. Maybe I would, but I would fail, and I'll tell you why. So our next other freeform project that we thought was the easiest to talk about is circular weaving. And that is, you may have seen over the last couple of years, especially all over the internet, these round hoops where someone has woven all things all around, and you know, it's got like gorgeous flowers woven in on one side, or maybe some fabric scraps along with yarn, things like that. You can use that kind of freeform circular weaving. You can literally use almost any textile that you want, from rope to string to thread to yarn to roving, and playing with different sizes and different finishes and textures is actually what makes some of the prettier pieces that I've ever seen. However, it can be very 3D and it can have tons of texture. there is a fair amount of DIY type information and
Mhm.
tutorials on this craft on the internet, but I didn't find many that were. I found a lot of those ones that um, they make it look like it's really easy and it should be no problem, but that wasn't the case because I tried it. And the ones that I found that gave you more specific directions on materials to use that were not DIY, they were like, you need to use this, get this wooden loom with the holes punched in it. I rolled my eyes and used what I had, which was a thin metal hoop. Okay. I'll tell you why you need the you need the loom piece with the holes punched in it. At the very least, you need a wooden embroidery hoop that you can warp a certain way, and I'll get to that. But it does make really beautiful, imaginative, creative wall hangings that you can personalize
Mhm.
really easily. You can use, again, a lot of your yarn scrap, little chunks of roving fabric, strips and pieces, things like that. You can even use like faux floral pieces in your total
Pretty.
image. There's lots of different things that you
Yep.
can do. So I tried it, and these are the things I learned. I thought that I wanted to make a piece that was all out of roving because I had seen things like that and I was like, oh my God, oh my God. That was the one thing I thought. I also thought in my mind that it would be really easy to form floral arrangements out of roving. I thought that would be really easy. And I mean, like what? Don't you just tuck and a nip and a little fold and pull through and then you have
Boom,
a
boom,
flower?
boom.
I mean,
Yep,
what?
flower made.
Right? Flower made. I was wrong about that. I used a skinny metal round hoop ring like I would use to crochet mandalas. Now, those are perfect for that. But when you do weaving, you need to do what is called warping, where you string it, and that is what gives you something to weave into. Okay. To do really more 3D or textured circular weaving, you need channels. So you need to be able to go over, under, around two pieces of thread, but also the ability to go through them, neither over nor under them, but through them for certain types of designs. I didn't understand why that was important right away. So I didn't do that. I didn't do that very well. I sort of tied my warp on because when I first started, I was trying to string it according to this DIY instructions that I had seen, and the warp, the cotton thread that I was using, kept sliding and getting loose, and it wouldn't stay where I put it no matter what I did. So it took me like an hour to be like, oh my God, this is not working. And then I started to like cut pieces and tie them edge to edge to try to keep tension on them. That whole warping it in the DIY way was super frustrating, and I highly recommend that if you want to play around with this, that you just go ahead and spend the 14-15 bucks on Amazon and get yourself some round wooden circular loom pieces that are meant for like one and done, where you make something and it's warped into this frame and that's it. And they don't cost that much. So you might have to wait a couple days to get it, and that's about it. But they have holes punched through them so that you can warp through them. And that way you can do the over under thing that creates the channels and all of that really easily in one long piece, and keep tension on it while you're warping it. And it'll probably take 10 minutes, maybe, to get it warped. That's the first thing I learned. I definitely would try it again using one of those because the metal hoop drove me crazy.
Frustration.
It was super,
factor was high.
super frustrating. It wasn't the actual craft; it was the preparation to get ready to do it. The other thing that I found is that I thought I would want to do it out of all roving, but when I finished it, I really enjoyed the part where I actually wove with yarn much tighter and flatter to my warp than the parts where I wove in the roving. I think a person would really need to practice and experiment with, how much you should separate roving into thinner pieces, how much will hold as you weave and not just pull apart, how to make it ways you can weave it and what methods or ways you can weave it to make it look like more like flowers. When I look at some of the pictures that I've seen on the internet of some people's really intricate, beautiful floral arrangements out of fiber and roving, I'm staring at them really close going, how did they do that?
Mm-hmm.
Because it didn't work like I thought it would. So I definitely would want to investigate that more. And you also, the other thing I recommend is that you definitely want that 8/8 cotton warping thread that they sell all over the place. You definitely don't want to use like cotton store twine type stuff, which is what I use. It's too thick and it's very, very rough and scratchy. So it was snagging everything as I was weaving my work in and out, even just yarn. It was snagging the crud out of it. And it made a mess, and it just, again, frustration factor was up there. I also didn't feel very good the day that I needed to get that done. So it wasn't like, for me, it wasn't prime, positive, creative environment. So that might have had something to do with it, but still I stand on the things I learned. But I'll show you to prove a point. Many people, will compliment me and thank you for your compliments. They think I'm very creative and that I'm so good at everything I do and da da da. And I'd like to show you that I'm just the same as everybody else. So this is the very first circular thing that I've ever made. It's a little atrocious, I think. I think I give myself an A for effort. I spent quite a bit of time just trying to get it to turn out this. This is what I meant about the part that I wove that I liked, though. If you can see inside there, away from all this roving, that was fun and really relaxing. And I did that with macro. So it's a thicker yarn, but when I was like weaving it in and out of the warp and I was able to, push it down and tighten it up, I really liked the way that worked. And I liked how it only took really minor adjustments to make it puff a little bit. And then I could tighten it right back down. So I could see how you could make different textures and shapes just by using a yarn like this and pulling it a little tighter and a little looser in certain areas to make different textures and shapes with just the single white yarn. The roving itself was again really hard to work with, and like this was my attempt at making camellias and a rose, and it's it's okay. So I give myself props for effort. I think I gave it a really good try. I'm very intrigued by this weaving part in the middle. I definitely would like to get some of those wooden circular punched looms that are meant for one-time use. They're not meant for you to take the piece off of it, is what I'm trying to say, and for you to reuse the piece. They're meant for it to be strung and stay there. I think I would like to get some of those, and I'd like to mess around a little more with the weaving aspect. I would probably only use roving as a very, a couple, 2 or 3 place accent on a finished woven piece. I would not try to weave the roving in as part of the piece because it's just puffy and huge and really difficult to manage. But that is what I made. I'm like having trouble turning this in a way that is, there we go, is the direction I mean to, because it's opposite. It's opposite there.
So I did not try it. I know my limitations.
Hey, listen, I gave it a shot.
No, and she did a wonderful job. And I think that you shouldn't give up on the on
the roving.
Yeah, on the roving, because I feel like familiarity will help.
I believe you're correct. I think I was running into a couple of problems with the roving part. One was that this warp that I did on this thing was not done right. So I didn't have the channels.
Right.
So I didn't have the ability to go through channels. I had to keep going over and under.
Right, yeah.
And then I didn't have it strung with enough warps. So on the outer, as you get closer to the outside edge, they get further apart, right?
Right.
And so there was big gaps where it would pull and it would just like sit and hang, and it wasn't a tight weave. Like, I think my problems with the roving were somewhat due to an improper beginning.
But I applaud you on your effort.
I gave it a try.
Yes, and I applaud you on your flowers, because when you first showed it to me, I knew exactly that that's what you meant them to be.
Camellias and roses?
No, flowers.
Oh. Thanks, Carla.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm glad they look like flowers. At least they look like flowers. Thank you, baby Jesus. Okay. Well, anyway, I just want everyone to know that nobody is super good at anything that they do immediately the first time. Hardly ever. It takes everyone a little time. Yep. People didn't show up on the internet the first time they tried to make something and have it look like that. They didn't. They did this, or maybe a little better, but they did this. In the
privacy of their own home.
Exactly.
Did not show
and they
anybody.
probably didn't go on Yarnyak and show it to everybody either, but I'm doing it. So I want to encourage you guys to try new things. It doesn't matter if you're good at it. You will learn something. Yep. Okay. I learned some stuff. Yep. I learned just enough to know that I want to go again. And I'm going to try it with a couple different materials to start off with. And I'm going to give it another shot and see what I think of it. Not right now, though. I'm a little bit busy right now, but I'm definitely, I could totally see myself sitting on my front porch in the summer doing a little weaving in the morning. Definitely.
Beautiful. Yeah.
The weaving part, I want to just reiterate that the weaving part in the center with the yarn was super relaxing. Now, I found that once before. I did some weaving on a simple loom, like a tabletop loom. Here last summer, and I found that to be very relaxing. I could feel, even more than when I crochet, I could feel my whole body just come down when I was weaving. And I'm not sure exactly what the difference is, except for possibly my mindset or energy level between the two. When I'm crocheting, I'm usually on a mission. I have 50 other things to do, and I'm trying to get something done really fast.
And by engaging that different part of your brain that does the weaving, it's not related to the shop,
the work. When I decided I was going to give a few hours a couple of times to weaving, it was, I had no expectation of how long it should take or what it should look like or anything. So that, what we were talking about last week, that loss of the sense of time where you're just doing it. That I was able to fall into that relaxation response when I was weaving. So
that is awesome.
I would imagine that I would have to weave for, a couple 10, 20 years before I would lose the relaxation response out of that. Not lose it, but before it's dulled down by have tos and need tos and hurries and
well. But it'd be interesting.
Maybe not.
It'd be interesting to find out.
I did find it very enjoyable and relaxing though, and I do recommend that you guys, give some of the live on the edge a little bit. Give some Freeform work a try, even if you just do something really small one time. Then you can check the box and be like, I tried that. It was not for me, or it was fun. If you Google Freeform scrumbling, especially, you will see a lot of pictures on the internet of people who have made some mad shawls and things like that doing scrumbling.
Beautiful,
where they just start making pieces and stitching them together until they have a representative garment that they like or whatever. And some of them are really pretty. Some of them are a little mad, a little Mod Podge for my taste, but I still completely applaud the creative effort that went into making it. There must be a huge sense of accomplishment when you finish something like that.
You know what that reminds me of is the crazy quilts, where they use all the bits and pieces, and then they use all the different embroidery stitches,
and they put it together. And when they're done, it's breathtaking in its randomness. So this is just another way. It's just another way, another form, another type of thing that you can do with fiber. It doesn't require a big financial investment or anything like that, and there's really no learning curve. You can apply whatever you already know about knitting or crochet or weaving to this form of it, and you don't have to do anything else except figure out how to put pieces together in a way that pleases you, and that's kind of cool.
And I'm going to throw this out there too, is that there's the knitting and the crocheting, but there's also macrame. People incorporate that in there as well. The whole piece isn't necessarily that, but there might be pieces of it in there. So with the whole no rules thing, you can do
basically whatever you want,
whatever you'd like,
And if the possibilities are too big for you, like I said, choose something simple and small and narrow down your possibilities. Limit your choices a little bit yourself to make it not so overwhelming to figure out how to start. But
Right.
I definitely recommend giving one of these things a try just once and see what you think. So
Yep.
you might find that you really enjoy it. So anyway,
Yeah.
Freeform fiber crafts.
Yes. And you know what? If you do happen to try it, take a photo of it and send it to us. We don't have to post it on the page or anything, but we'd like to see what you've done.
I'd love to see what you try.
Yeah.
I love to see what you guys like. Again, and don't be like, oh, it's not very good, because there isn't any bar to compare it to.
Nope,
There's
there
no
isn't.
bar. There's no
Nope.
bar.
There is not.
Only your own expectations. I did not meet my own expectations of circular weaving, but I know what I didn't like about it. And the next time I try it, I'll fix that and see if I like it more.
Right. Yep, absolutely.
So anyway, well, we hope you found tonight's Yarnyak episode helpful or inspiring, or, you know, at least not boring. You can ask us questions anytime. You can email us at ASKYARNYAK@gmail.com. And you can, your question could be an episode of Yarnyak, or your idea, or your wondering, curiosity, whatever you have. Could be an episode of Yarnyak. We are always looking for new ideas for episodes of Yarnyak. If you don't like what you have been seeing, send us a couple ideas and maybe we'll pick some and do a show on it. We love that.
Yes.
We also love to get desert island questions from you guys. It's kind of hard to like imagine those up, and it gets boring. So if you think of one, send it to us. We love a new desert island question. We actually don't have one tonight because we couldn't think of one. So we love that kind of feedback. Be sure to visit our website and check out our Yarnyak page for links and patterns from this episode. You can also see Yarnyak on YouTube. If you don't have Facebook, or know someone who doesn't have Facebook but would like to watch, you can send them to our YouTube channel. Episodes of Yarnyak are uploaded to YouTube on Wednesday morning-ish, give or take an hour or two, usually. Be sure to subscribe and ring the bell when you're on YouTube. It helps us out a lot to have people subscribe to our channel. It lets YouTube know that people are watching us, which is good for the shop. If you like content like this, you can check out our page on Buy Me a Coffee, and the link for that is in the description of the show tonight. We really appreciate any support that we get from you guys who are watching us. It helps us do little things and big things, like, you know, helps us pay for project supplies, and it also helps us pay for the electronic necessities of doing a show like this. And we really appreciate that. I really want to give a shout out to Tiffany, who bought us a coffee last week. Actually, 2 of them. It was awesome. We really super appreciated that.
Yes, you're the best.
You're the best. That was awesome. It was great.
Yes.
So yeah. Also, quick note: we are going to be taking the next 2 weeks off. It is tax time. If you didn't know, it's tax time. For me, it's tax time. I'm whispering because it makes me go like this. But I will be sitting down with my bestie accountant friend over the next couple of weeks and working out the end of the year for last year and getting my tax preparation paperwork ready.
Sounds like
and that's going to take up the little bit of time that I usually spend on my days off getting Yarnyak ready. So we will be off for the next 2 weeks, but we'll be back on February 28th for episode 20 of Yarnyak. So join us then, and we will see you soon. Happy yarning, my friends.
You're the best.
Yarn.